Welcome to Bonehead Weekly. And today we have the superstar, the most amazing, the most wonderful person on earth, Chad Jennings. And with us as our special guest, we have some guy named Bryce Oquaye who owes us money and then decided to ask us for a favor to try to promote and pimp out something that he's trying to sell.
Yeah. Because I mean, that's the only way I'm going to be able to get the money that I owe you. Like,
All
help
I
me,
can say,
help you, help me, help you.
Help
yeah,
me, help me.
help the son of a bitch who is an avid Booster Gold hater.
Hey,
Just saying.
hey,
Chad,
By the way-
in all fairness, and I mean this with all due respect, and you know it's going to be good because I just said with all due respect. Have you tried not liking somebody that sucks? Have you ever gave that a shot, Chad? Just once. Just
I don't know. You give up. You let me know how Resurrection Man's doing, and I'll get back to you.
now, in all fairness, there could have been an easy comeback. You could have pointed
Yeah.
out, look at my friends.
Because
I mean, there's all of these.
all I can say is who's still in comics and running a story arc. That would be Booster Gold, Resurrection Man.
When these
Not
nerds
so
get
much.
done with their slap fight, what I wanted to say was so few times I hear that son of a bitch, and it's not in reference to me on this show.
Booster Gold. Look. This is testament to how Booster Gold brings out the worst of you. I'm telling you, man. Every time I think possibly that I could be wrong, things like this happen. Booster
Okay,
Gold is incendiary.
that's a good word. I don't know what it means, but it sounds like it sounds really hot. What I was going to say is I remember like it was yesterday. We were at Lexington Comic Con. It was you and Ken Kirk, and we were doing that whatever the thing was that we picked for the topic of Bonehead Weekly, and you Booster Gold of like the ones that we. What was the topic, Chad? Superhero villains that don't suck.
You are confusing.
Who?
You're confusing story arc. That was Ken and Peter Bryce in the basement of your of your. When I brought
I
up the
thought it was
Booster
on
Gold.
stage.
No. They
No.
ripped me asunder in your
Bryce,
basement.
do you
about
remember
loving Booster
this?
Gold.
I thought it was on stage. He says it was in the basement.
It was. I think. It was. It was in the basement. We was doing the show in person.
Because I was giving him shit for like an Iron Fist, and then I said I can't say anything. My favorite character is Booster Gold, and then the onslaught started.
Yep. Because I was like, Booster Gold. What the?
I don't want to say my favorite. One of my favorites, Green Lantern or Green Arrow, is my two favorites. But there you go.
Why Booster Gold? What is the hate for someone who can't read?
It's very easy to hate Booster Gold. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. Because the thing is like Booster Gold. He's like the personality alone. Like he's written to be not very likable.
Yeah.
And on top of that, his power is he's from the future. So anybody could have been Booster Gold. He's a motherfucker that wasn't where he was supposed to be at.
Yeah.
And then he wound up in the past and now he's special. That would be like if you sent me back to the 70s with a cell phone.
Yeah. You couldn't charge it. You couldn't charge the damn thing.
Nah. But as long as if you got a full battery and just don't get crazy, you could really cook with that cell phone for a while.
Well, yeah. I mean,
I can give Joe a really quick synopsis of Booster Gold. He's a museum security guard from the future who steals a outfit and a flight ring and a time machine and goes back to the past to become a superhero seeking product placement.
There you go.
Yeah. And I just realized.
Why do you like him then?
Because he's awesome.
Well, I didn't realize it till Bryce said that. He really is the stolen valor version of superheroes.
Mm-hmm.
Like he just took everybody else's stuff and went, "Aren't I cool?" And by the way, I'm from the future, so I know what's going to happen. I got this covered.
Booster Gold is like that whole Back to the Future scenario where you go to the past and sing the hit record early.
Yeah,
like
they bet on the game.
Yeah. No, I never realized, but he's stolen valor.
I don't understand any of these words you all are using tonight. It's
I
valor,
just think it's because for over 20
incendiary
years,
or insidious or whatever Bryce was saying.
for 20 plus years, he was just a comic relief idiot of a superhero who really had no qualities whatsoever. But then he had this great story arc where he became the warrior of the time stream and um became a legitimate hero through these comic books. I just love that whole story arc. Bryce disappeared, and what the hell,
Bryce shot
Bryce?
back
I'm
up
back.
again.
I'm back.
He switched corners on me.
Yeah, what is wrong? What is up with that? How did you do that?
Man, what it is well, in this timeline that we live in,
Yeah,
Booster Gold is Elon Musk. He heard me talking shit, and my phone just started glitching, man.
that's okay.
Isn't Wouldn't you say Lex Luthor is more like the Elon Musk, just smarter?
No, I think Lex Luthor has some redeeming qualities. By the way, if you see this, Elon, please don't kill me. I bruise easily. I'm not worth your time, sir.
You said, wait, hold on. If you bruise easy, Elon Musk is the last person you need about.
Well, no, I'm not worried about him. I'm worried about the people he'll hire.
Fair enough.
or the fact he'll just, buy my employer or something like that. And then I'm like, oh well, never mind. I'm done. I don't know how much it will take to get them to fire me, but I'm betting he has that amount of money.
Bryce, how have you been?
Say it again.
How have you been? I haven't seen you since March.
Oh yeah.
And we were all having some drinks, and I remember Ken going, "Are you okay?" And I go, "What do you mean? What's wrong with me? Did I say something? I'm okay. Are you okay? What's wrong with you?"
Last we were together. It was during Comic-Con, and your toast.
The last time I talked to you was there, and you guys were doing 6-bomb boards.
Yep.
Yeah. But then, go ahead.
Nah, I've been good, man. I've been good. I've been working on this comic, working on some other stuff.
And I promise we'll get to it in a minute. I just really wanted
No, you're good.
I thought all three of us, we have, I'm not speaking for all three, but I basically am. We have a special place in our heart for you and Ken.
No, yeah, it was like I don't get to see Bryce a lot.
That's because you don't get outside, you don't go outdoors,
agoraphobia.
Oh, look, I know big words too.
That's one of the things I'll always look forward about Comic-Con is I would get to run into Bryce and we'd have our little talk and also Ken. And then this year it didn't happen. I looked all over. Now, granted, I had a little daughter with me who was going like this. Who was going like this at all the booths. I had to stop her and but at the same time I was trying to find you and I could not find you at all. And I was like, oh man. So I only had like a day there. So I didn't have the normal time frame to look for you.
Yeah, it wound up being it was a really busy show. The past two conventions that I've done have been just very busy. It's been cool, man. I've just been working. I've been prepping because I've just been doing a whole lot of comic work and working on some other special projects and stuff like. I know I'm doing some designs for Berea College.
Talk about that.
Oh yeah, for their Black Cultural Center.
Yeah,
I've been doing some work for them, trying to kind of iron out some details because their cultural center is moving to a new space, and with that, they're trying to kind of freshen things up or whatever. So I've been doing some cool design work with them, hoping we can kind of cross the finish line with that before the new semester starts up. So maybe the kids could come back and be surprised. But that's all stuff that's just been in progress, and of course still doing a lot of the community work that I do, but doing it through the public library. So that's been really cool because it's kind of allowed for me to do the workshops and stuff that I want to do and really touch base with the community with a little bit more resources than just what I can afford to spend. So that's really nice, especially considering now that a lot of grants have become even more hyper competitive in comparison to the competitiveness that already existed, or you just don't have access to them.
Yeah.
Or they don't exist anymore. Yeah, no.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's the other one. Yeah, oh God. I don't know what's changed in the last year or two. I didn't notice anything.
Well, anyway, I do want to say, by the way, though, because I was
Sorry.
told I had to say this. Um, uh, you, speaking of Lexington Comic Con, you had a great interaction with my daughter, and she said, to remind you that your Godzilla is awesome. Um,
Awesome.
and I was told that I need to find a way to get it more visible on her wall. So I'm working on that now. I don't know if I'm gonna have a spotlight. We'll figure it out. Anyway, but I just really I wanted to actually say thank you again for that because she came back and she was like, I want this on display. I actually just recently bought her a display case for some of her figures and stuff like that. But the fact that it literally was like, this has to be centered in the room. I want this displayed. And just as a father, she does art, and just having somebody talk to her about art, I think you spent probably 15, 20 minutes talking to her. And just as a father, thank you for that. You were just talking about the work that you do with the libraries. I know you've worked with schools and stuff before, but I want to say, in all seriousness, outside of the normal back and forth that we normally have on this show, man, that was cool. And
Thank you.
the fact that literally I said, "Oh, we have a guest tonight. Who is it? It's Bryce. You remember? Oh, Bryce." And so she probably would be right next to me if I were there.
Look at
So
you. You made James a cool dad for 10 seconds.
yeah, that was my 10. I get 10 seconds a year, and I think you actually managed to extend it to about 20. So that was cool.
Hey, well, I appreciate you. Plus, not to mention, I mean, stuff like that's important, man. We gotta any ways that we can like really tap in and like inspire these children is really important. I think that and then I don't want to get preachy in any way, form, or fashion,
You
but
can say whatever you want on here, sir.
well, I appreciate you. It's just we all know that the arts are under fire, and
Mhm.
they're largely under fire because of how powerful they are and the ways that they allow people to really use their voices and connect. It's a superpower that a lot of people either undervalue or they want to kind of get rid of. So I think it's kind of part of the responsibility of being an artist, but then also being an artist that is a father as well, that
Mhm.
advocates for their community. It's like a lot of things in the mix that I feel like make it important to it's just I don't think I would be doing my job properly if I don't also factor in the children that'll eventually be kind of picking up when I can't do it anymore. And we gotta leave them with something and hopefully inspire them to be better than us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. No, I think I mean, like I said, I think um it's one of those things that I could look at her, and just even when she was talking about it this evening when I said that you were going to be the guest tonight, um I mean, it's such a vivid memory, and she loves the art. She loves, I mean, everything about it. And so I think that's really cool. Um, and I told her, I was like, oh, well, he's working on, or he's got a new comic book coming out. And so she immediately said, when is it out? And look, Joe, I did a transition. We can,
I
we can,
know. I was trying to get a picture of everybody too. Uh, so my friend Bryce, comic book artist, writer extraordinaire, you have a new project you want to talk about. So would you like to go ahead and introduce us to it? Because we don't really know that much about it either.
Yes, yes. So the comic is called Duppy, and it's I've been working on this for a really long time. I'm really excited about it because uh just outside of the story itself, which I think is a lot of fun. I think the story and the art and everything is a lot of fun. I
Yeah.
think also I think it's just a kind of a cool world that I've created. It's inspired by Caribbean mythology, like Caribbean folklore.
Oh yeah.
And that's what I bring to the forefront on the story. So, Duppy's in Caribbean folklore, specifically with like Jamaicans, they're black ghosts. They're spirits that reminiscent of like shadows, and they're representations of like your ancestors, potential negativity of the environment, all kinds of things that could be, even just negatively manifested by an individual. And I remember growing up, like it would be something that sometimes my mother would try to spook me with, to spook my sisters with, to be like, you better act right because the Duppies and whatever, whatever. And it's just been something that's also kind of been in the corner of my artwork as well. I always have those little like teethy ghosts and stuff that are in my work, and that's what those are. And this comic in particular is me using that folklore to tell a bigger story and kind of and do a mix of like being able to celebrate action and horror in the ways that I like it, but also celebrate my culture too.
Yeah.
It's interesting that you bring that up because actually, as you were describing it, it reminded me of there's an author I've talked about on the show a couple different times, Cabino Iglesias, and he's taken a lot of the folklore. His own background is Caribbean and Mexican, and he does a lot of work about borders, but the frontera, and this idea about how folklore. But I think what's really interesting about the way that's generally used in storytelling is, yes, you have that ghost element, but often his stories become, we don't need to worry necessarily about the ghost because yes, they're there, but look at what your other people are doing.
Exactly.
And so I think that's such an interesting way. And I'll be honest, I gained such an appreciation for the idea that, reading something like this is a great way to say, oh, well, okay, that, you find parallels between cultures, you find parallels between, and all of a sudden, I think when projects like this really engage people, it's like, oh, well, think about what all folklore and the parallels and the similarities and the differences that make it so compelling to read something like that if you're not familiar with it.
Yeah, and I'm glad you say that because that's part of what I'm hoping can be gathered from this. Because overall, like the story that I'm telling, like at its core is an opportunity for me to just tell a fun action horror story. Because like the main character of the story, his name is Moses, and he's a practitioner of Obeya. So Obeya is this like folk magic, this spiritualism or whatever, and it's something that is it's very real. It exists within Caribbean cultures, but what I do with it in the story is I take it and I kind of do like, when you think of action stories where you may have the priest or the exorcist that's like almost like a paladin or a cleric type character to come and, fight the spirit or whatever. So I'm kind of doing a similar thing where like Moses, he's this sorcerer, exorcist person. He's been trained to handle these different spiritual entities. And at one point in time, he experiences this major loss that kind of sends him off on this like training journey so he can come back home strong enough to get rid of the entity that took so much from him. And this thing called the Laughing Man. And the Laughing Man is kind of my interpretation of the classic Man in Black. Kind of if I had to connect the Laughing Man to somebody, it would be almost like the interpretation of like the devil that you meet at the crossroads. You know what I mean? So it's kind of it's a story that it's a story that at its core, it's not like you haven't come across anything like it before. But what's unique here is the cultural context, the style that it's told in, and then also there are these other elements too of like you know all of these all of these multicultural, these black centered characters. The city is called Jamdo, and it's kind of like a parody of any sort of coastal black city that you could think of. Think of a New York City or New Orleans or Charleston or something like that. So it's like I like to think that it would be if you took something like the Lost Boys and mixed it with maybe Sinners, or mixed it with, you know, maybe the style of like a They Clone Tyrone type of thing. There's a little humor there. There's a certain aesthetic to it that makes it very like very unique, very very hip hop in a lot of ways. Uh, I'm in the jazz influence in it as well. Like I think that like I think it's a cool celebration of all these things, but then also it's not the point. And that was something that was really important to me. That I'm not just like telling this particular story and making my cultural perspective the point of the story. It just happens to be the backdrop of the story. And I think sometimes that it can easily happen to where like everything that's told in the story is black, and it's the point that it's black, and it's like, nah, it's I want it to be something that everybody enjoys and then thinks about. You know, I was really really inspired by Sinners a lot, specifically because Ryan Coogler told this powerful story from our cultural lens, but our cultural lens wasn't the end all be all of the story. It was still just a great story.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and one of the things that you just said actually made me go, oh, that's one of the things that is really like now I'm like, oh, that's interesting in itself, because you mentioned that, you know, he's trained, he's been doing this for some time, it sounds like.
Mm-hmm.
But what actually makes him go out and have to train is when it actually starts to affect him. Like when something happens and he loses a lot. And I think that's really, you know, there's some other characters. I mean, the easy example might be Spider-Man and Uncle Ben. Like that loss is what makes him turn hero. But it sounds like he's already a hero, but then he loses.
Yeah, it's very very much, but like it's one of those things that, you know, people will find out quickly when as you read it. They're like, Moses' character, he's not the most likable person, but at the same time, uh, he's almost it's almost like he's given a certain pass because of the nature of like what he does. So, you know, it was a little bit of it was a bit of his cockiness, him being stubborn, that contributed to him experiencing the loss he experiences. So when he goes out and he realizes he needs to get stronger and he does these things to go on this quest for vengeance, it's all well intentioned, but even the conversations that come around from like just how selfish it is even to have these goals of vengeance, these things that you take upon yourself to say only I can do this, as if you're the only person that's affected by loss, that like you don't have family or whatever. And that's something that I kind of speak on throughout the series. But like I wanted, you know, Caribbean culture in particular is so communal in so many ways. So I I wanted this feeling of Moses and the way that he's dealing with the trauma that he experienced, for it to be almost like it's weird. Like we see all in a lot of stories when the hero goes out and they have to be stoic and alone, and everybody's like, yeah, I get it. In this situation, I wanted to be like, why did you do that? Like, there's people here that care about you. We could have figured this out together. So the larger theme of it being like, how do you handle loss? How do you handle community? How do you fumble within that community as well? It's a large part of it. So you see Moses become more likable, uh, but he definitely starts off as kind of this brooding dude that's like when you first introduced the Blade, and you're like, he's kind of a dick. He's cool, but he's kind of a dick.
How long did you say this has been gestating in you?
uh, actually started working on this story um before I started working on Hard Justice.
Yeah.
So I had I had written out the first issue, and it started off, it was kind of short. uh, potentially like a one-shot thing. And then the more I started to pen on it, and the more I started to like design in the world, it became something that was a bit larger. And I think it. I think I had like. I think I had like 5 or 6 issues planned when I was initially even announcing the series. But then the more I kept going and going, I was like, nah, I can see this being kind of my ongoing thing, just, especially as I get faster and, I'm getting better at what you do. I'm like, I kind of wanted uh, I kind of wanted this thing in the background that always exists no matter what I'm working on. This is my thing that I can always kind of tell stories from. And yeah, so it's been a minute. It's been a few years for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. And I kind of have a follow-up, but it's not really a creative question. It's more of we're all dads. We're all good dads. Well, except Chad, we're all good dads. And I'm curious how you do it. People ask me, but well, I actually haven't been asked in a long time, so maybe I'm not a good dad. But how do you, because we have gigs, right? We have to provide health insurance. We have jobs, right?
Mhm.
How do you do that? Be the artist because that's part of you, and you have to get that out there. Hustle because art ain't free, so you have to hustle because there's money involved. And then you have to be a husband,
Mhm.
and then you have to be a dad. And I haven't even got to, and Chad and James mentioned it and Chad earlier, but your activism and the support you do for the community. And it sounds like we're kissing your ass, and we are a little bit because we'll shit on you later. But we'll always do it to your face. Behind your back, you're gold, right? Almost like booster gold.
Oh,
I
you
know,
had to.
Dork. I had to
That
bring
was
it back. I had to bring it back. But
oh.
but we'll only shit on you to your face. So how do you do it? I know I don't function. I don't do a couple of those things well, but the rest of them I know. I know how I do it. But how do you do it? And everyone
Well,
knows you.
I'll say this. The way that I kind of view it all is if uh if I want to make room if I want to make room for things, then I never want it to be to the detriment of anybody that I care for
Right.
or who I have responsibility for.
That's the reason he hasn't been on Bonehead in a couple of years.
So I so so my mindset is always like, if something has to be lost, it'll be my sleep. It'll be my time. I'll figure it out. And I never want my family or anybody to ever miss a beat. So like I uh I make the time I make the time within the gaps. Um I make sure that like when I do have moments to have me time, this is where the work-life balance stuff is really important, because sometimes even when I have the me time, I might be spending the me time doing this type of stuff. So
That
so
my friend is one of my answers.
yeah.
This
So
is me time we're experiencing right now.
yeah, so initially I initially I remember kind of always looking at it like I was trying to like, just achieve the goal and the things or whatever. But then I think after a while I began to leave room for, okay, well, what do I enjoy the most? And what can I afford to trim? Like what are the things that I'm doing that I don't necessarily have to? And there was certain, it did require a little bit of self-awareness, ways that I could better manage time.
Right.
Learning how to say no was huge. And just kind of, I live off a calendar. I make sure that I try to always, when I catch those gaps, when I catch those gaps, I dive in. Plus, not to mention, I've become really efficient when it comes to drawing. Like
Really?
all these years of live art make it to where I don't really have the same phases as like penciling, inking, this and this and this. Like I kind of just go get to it. Like I know I'm always doing like voice messages in my notes and stuff for like what is it that I'm trying to do. If I see something in my head, I might describe it. I might do all those types of things, and then I go back and I'll organize those thoughts. So then by the time I'm sitting down and I'm working on something, I'm not going in blind. I actually have a task of like, here's what I'm touching. Here's what I'm doing. And yeah, just keeping it really, really keep being efficient. Being efficient is what it is. At least until, maybe if something pops, then time can be freed up more. But for the time being, yeah, that's kind of how it is.
I have a sort of follow up to that, and I have another question as well.
Now, so real quick, I am so sorry. I just got a ping on my device that's I apparently screwed up and did not charge it enough. I'm going to switch to my tablet. Is that going to mess the recording up?
No, go ahead. I'll cut it out. Or I'll just sit here and talk about things. That son of a bitch did not charge his tablet or his phone. Can you believe that?
I'll be honest. If I was on my
bastard.
If I was on my laptop right now, actually, I'd just reached over and put my phone on the charger.
And by the way, Bryce, while you're doing that, I have a question for James. When did he start, Chad, doing this angle where we get all the Treks and the Joneses and the Hot?
No, well, I have to blur all that or put up a background on it. It's not intentional. What happened, Joe, is for years.
His shirt just says Creek.
It's Tex Creek, but it's.
Well, I'll be right back.
Oh, well, you're right. Okay, we didn't need you anyway. Yeah.
Actually, it says Creek Lacrosse, but you can't see. But no, what happened, Joe, is
this isn't going to be a short.
For years, if you go back and watch video, you'll notice there's not a chair behind me. I was sitting in a steel folding chair.
Yeah.
And my desk was a folding table.
Yeah.
That's what I did when I was in Mississippi. It's what I did when I first moved back here. And then
that's how Dad did it.
Us an actual desk. Someone gave us an actual desk, and it's got a riser, which is nice for the monitors when I'm working, but makes an awkward thing with the camera. And I thought about seeing if I could move it down.
Chad.
But that's what happened, Joe. I actually got, equipment, so I'm not just sitting in a steel chair all the time. Thank you for being concerned about my welfare.
If I had a steel chair right now, I'd hit myself with it.
Oh, I can't help but notice you've always had it.
I'll ship one to you from Amazon right now.
I was going to say, here, I got mine.
I don't think it'll show up now.
I'll drive it over. We got a minute.
Does anybody know where I live?
Yes.
Oh, my God, he's back. Should I let him in?
Yes, please, God.
Mad Hundreds.
That's his website.
Yes. Well, I'm waiting. He doesn't. There he is. Oh my gosh, that's a lot of Bryce. What up?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
You're full screen now.
Yeah.
Hey, before you start asking your question, James, where can we go support this here comic book?
Yes.
Kickstarter. It's right here.
So,
yeah.
It's
where?
Duppycomic.com.
I seriously, you all keep pointing at it, and I don't see it in the.
No, I'm pointing to my other monitor.
We're pointing to our screens, Joe.
So it's Duppycomic.com. So DUPPY.
Duppy Comic.
Yeah, you're a little halfway. You're a little bit half over to your actual goal. So if you're listening, please donate to Bryce. His comics are amazing.
Thank you.
So, Joe, can I jump back to my question, Joe?
No, I think you've talked enough.
I agree, but I'm going to anyway. One of the things I wanted to mention, though, you were talking about the calendar management, so to speak, but one of the things you said that actually was like, oh, it's kind of a kick in the pants for me is that you've had this idea for years and worked on it and played around with it, and then how do you do that and keep it to where, well, for myself, I get bored with my idea or I talk myself out of it. How do you avoid that?
Um, so it's no, that's actually a great question because it kind of it speaks
Don't
to a
give him
lot.
any encouragement.
To be very honest, it's a mixture of things. Because I I've always been a bit of a writer and had a lot of different ideas, but when my initially jumping into everything, I remember it was I feel I've been steered so much a lot throughout my career. It, uh, Initially, I thought my entry into this was going to be purely as a comic artist that it's always gonna be something that's largely collaborative, and I'm glad and I love the collaboration as we know, but I when I entered in really trying to master the craft of being able to be a comic artist, I would have had these ideas that I would put kind of on the back burner because I felt like my respect for writing as an art form was something that I needed to make sure that I gathered properly. And I wasn't necessarily grasping that everybody's writing process was different. The more writers that I worked with, the more I realized that writers have this massive range of how they approach things. So all of the stuff that I had in the background, I was like, okay, I don't have to be so strict about how I tell my story. I just need to make sure that I understand the structure of a story. And then that kind of gave me a little bit of a confidence boost. But then the next part was also just kind of at one point in time when I was largely kind of waving the flag within my activism in the arts and really really being in some of the spaces that I was in, I felt that that was really starting to kind of change the trajectory of what I was doing for a bit, to where it was less comics, more of this illustration space. So then that's when my projects became even more important because I was needing to hold on to this stuff that I came in with that I didn't get to see the fruition. So kind of like reclaiming my time and reclaiming my energy in a lot of ways uh made it easier for me to touch back on the stuff that I've been working on for so long that I was like, I can't I've never felt bored with this stuff because I wasn't able to see the stuff through, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Which leads to kind of leads to the next question that I had. I have no talent in it, but I love music, and one of the things that I saw on this Kickstarter is you have a soundtrack for this.
Dude.
Could you talk about that? Because I really do enjoy all types of music. It's something actually that my kids have too. If you see my kids and they're wearing headphones, that's not to block out noise. They always have music going. It's one of
Yeah.
the things that we have in common. When I'm working on academic work, I have music going. So I saw that and I'm like, well, now you had my interest already,
Yes,
but
Hmm.
now you've got
Bryce
something else going forward.
Oquaye introduces the next generation of polka artists.
Of what?
I
Polka
Polka.
artists.
You
That's the only
went,
music.
you
That's the only
went on.
music Chad's
Yes,
aware of.
well, forget it.
Man, look, so music is one of the most important things to me. Like it just I it's like in so many ways, because not just does it inform me artistically, but also music a lot of times is like the easiest way for me to recall things. Like sometimes I may not remember something exactly, but if I can remember when it came out when something happened in connection to when an album came out or something, I've got it. Like music is just huge for me, and um, anytime I'm working, most pieces of art that I make, most comics that I make, anything, I can always connect exactly what I was listening to when I was making it in the first place. So
Mm.
like I had this vibe that I was wanting to capture, and I've been working with so many musicians for so long that when I tapped in with my guys and we kind of formed that Oquaye clan group, it was dope to be able to like I knew what I wanted and to be able to communicate that. Being a lover of music, I could communicate clearly what I was looking for. They could capture what I was trying to describe, and they got to see the art and understand the vibe of it.
Mm-hmm.
So it wound up being it wound up being an easier task than it probably had the right to be. And it's one of the things that I'm super lucky because of all the work that I did with Mad Wavy and a lot of the stuff that I do in these community spaces. I just know so many talented musicians that are willing to collaborate with me on things like this that I was like, yeah, this is. I thought there could be something really unique that I could bring to everybody that's like supporting this.
And I know this isn't your intent, but I'll be honest. As soon as I saw that, because you're pressing an EP,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, for some reason, and this is shows me the product of the '80s that I am. I immediately went, "Oh, it's a book and a record together, like I used to get as a kid." That is beyond awesome for other
Oh, so
reasons.
you're talking about like the read along one. So I have a whole
Yeah, like
bunch of
the
them for
Gremlins.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
Star
yeah.
Wars.
But
I've
I
got a bunch of.
literally saw that, and I was like, "Oh, that'll be really cool." Because it is the adult version of that, where you have this thing that you had that is inspired by the art, and you can put it on and read the book at the same time,
It's
and that
literally
is awesome.
yeah, no, you on the money. It's literally that because like I remember I used to love that kind of stuff. And also like I think about like when I used to be able to get like video game magazines and they might have had a demo disc or like I remember like when I was younger watching Toonami and like the whole vibe of Toonami and the way that like they would use music to inform the energy and then go into the show. It was like this curated thing of here's the music that matches this subculture that we have here and all the shows that come out or it's almost like they took like shows from the 90s and the 2000s and classics and somehow made them all fit just with the music. And that's why I had to.
Can I get the audio book of you reading it just to me?
Hey, I got you. I got you.
But it's got to be this in your best Arby's roast beef sandwich. Joe
In my
Louis.
in the quiet storm voice.
Yeah. Welcome. Tonight.
And make sure you add a lot of extra Joe's a bitch ass and a dick nut.
I don't know what a dick nut is, but we've got some smooth sounds coming.
I feel like a dick nut has to be equal parts like
dick and nuts.
Itchy and like,
it's a dick
moist,
made it's a dick made of nothing but testicles.
Okay.
That's some Lovecraftian stuff I didn't need in my head, Chad.
I need to go take a nap. My brain is failing me. That was shit.
I didn't understand any of it. I was just going to let him go.
I was say, Joe, in all fairness, if we didn't talk about things you didn't understand, we wouldn't have much of a show.
But in all fairness to Joe, that was shit.
So I hate talking. I know I do. I'm always interested in the business side of this, back to the hustle part of it. Because, yeah, you have a great story. You have a great idea. I'm with James. I love the record, the thing, the music you're playing in the background. I just love the 360 feel of it all.
Yeah.
But you have all that going on. You have this great idea, and then economics breaks in. We're in a capitalistic society. And doesn't it suck? Because then you have to spend your time talking to assholes on Zoom trying to pimp out your product. And I keep saying, but I mean, it's literally you're trying to sell it, right? Because this costs money.
It does.
And you're not getting rich no matter how much backing you got.
No. And I think that like...
and I don't think people understand that. Sorry.
Well, and I'm glad you say that. And which is... this is why I really encourage people to support the indie creators, but also especially in situations like this one where it's like what I'm trying to do is a mixture of like share. I'm trying to share this art, this story. I'm trying to share some culture. I'm trying to support these other artists and musicians that are connected to this, and then also what it does for people when they can receive something like this. I feel like it's the feelings that we have talking about, like, oh man, when you got the record with the book and the this and the that or whatever, I feel like people don't really have that anymore. So
No.
it's really trying to like, it's trying to just kind of share these things that are the reason why I'm an artist today. And no, nobody's getting rich off this unless all of a sudden, something happened and the right people read Duppy and they decide they want to animate it like Invincible.
Yeah.
Ain't nobody getting rich off this. It's something that's like, I at least want to be able to account for the next one and the one after that. You know what I mean?
There's nobody penciling or getting rich at Marvel for the most part, or there's none of these writers, comic book people. They're lucky
No.
to make a living.
Exactly.
A living.
I don't know one person in comics that doesn't have at least 3 hustles. 4.
Yeah, you don't. Well, I have people who walk up to me. I had a guy I went to college with, and it was, I'm sure I've told the story on here, but it was just a year or two ago. And he said, "Well, what do you?" Something asked me a question, and like I said, we went to school together. And I answered him, and he goes, "But well, hold on, that's your full time job. The convention is like your full time job." I was like, "That's not my full time job." Well, that's what I thought you did. That's what other people was like. No.
Yeah.
I have a job with health insurance. And I get some people, and you know them too, in that world we're both in, who won't even mention that this is their be all, right? I don't know what's fun about it. And I'm not knocking them. I get it. And then that weekend in that moment they are. But at some point they go back. Oh, I don't know. I'm with you. I don't personally know any of them who don't have a full-time job with insurance, whatever it is, that grown-up job.
Exactly. And see, and for me in particular, about the where I feel like I got lucky was during the pandemic, whenever everybody in the world got laid off and all these other things. You know, I was able to really like tap into something different within everything that I was doing in my activism, and having that connected to my artwork did change the landscape for me a little bit. But what it did though was put me into this territory of doing things more directly with my city, doing things within education, stuff like that. So even when people would see me and people communicate like, oh man, yeah, full-time artists and stuff, I'm like, yeah, that's dope. But like the way that it is in reality, the way that I'm seeing this is like, I'm artist, educator, activist. I'm freelancing. Like I've been running a business this whole time where like, there's services and clients and things, and being able to be at the library. There was always multiple jobs. So it was never just like, oh yeah, you're just in the studio drawing comics all day. It's like, no, I'm paying bills and drawing my comics. And I think that like the art side of it, that when people get to see the victories and everything, but they don't necessarily understand how it's made, they're not seeing the amount of work that I'm putting in to be that visible. It's not like, and again, if I had it my way, it'd have been comics the whole time, and comics the whole time with the activism, of course. But all the you got to do a lot.
You got to do it. I'm with you. And people ask me, and I was like, well, you know what? If it wasn't for being a dad and he needs health insurance and the competition for my particular gig, I would leave. You could load me up Thursday night or Friday, and I'd be back Sunday night and I'd be happy to be stay-at-home dad the rest of the week, taking him and bringing him up, and I'd leave Friday and come back. Oh my God, I would do 3 or 4 shows a month if I could. I get you just and it's an opportunity, and I'm lucky that and then on top of that, it did kind of. I'm going to fluff your ego a little bit. You around the city, people know who you are.
Well, man, I appreciate it. I know I worked.
You're more famous than the other 3 of us.
Nah.
I ain't saying nothing.
But I do appreciate one thing, as you've talked about.
Oh, he said, nah.
I was not even invited to a high school reunion. Nobody knows who the fuck I am.
That's
Nobody
because you didn't
there.
graduate high school, Chad. We've talked about this.
Chad, you're more popular when you hold on, let me make this awful. No, he's driving me to it. I'll be nice. I gotta have a surgery. He's driving me this week.
For about
But
20 years, I thought my first name was who?
but
Oh no.
It's usually what?
but one of the things that you were talking about there, I think it's really important for people to hear, and it's something that I tell my daughter if she perceives any sorts of performance, is that it's people will always talk about, oh, you did that overnight, right? You're an overnight success, but nobody sees the hustle and the years that go into an overnight success.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's like I tell my students, I've told my clients and stuff that it's like when if you see me create something, whatever time that you perceived me creating this thing within, go ahead and add 15 years to that. Go
Yes.
ahead, go ahead and if you want to really break it down to the countless hours of like not losing sleep, all these things, like it's this constant continued education. And I feel like I'm just now to a point in my career where I've captured a particular voice and aesthetic and these things that I know that I can do undeniably, that allows me to do something like skip steps in my process. I understand what my work looks like. I understand how to communicate. So I can I can do things now that people, if you've been looking at my work for a long time, some people may say, oh man, yeah, you've been, good XYZ long. But for me, I think I finally have a particular type of stride that it took a long time to get here. So it's like, yeah, it's different. It's very different, and it takes a lot of patience and I do have to shout out. I have to shout out my community, my support systems too, because you mentioned Ken, and we know Six Pound Boards. You guys in particular as well,
Don't you
and
dare say Wesley's name.
and of course, my man Wes, and then my wife.
Yeah.
So you want to talk about somebody that's like the biggest part of my cheering section, like my wife and my children. Like, when you have enough people that believe in you, then which you need as an artist, but then also especially when you're an artist that has a portion of your work that is dipped in activism as well.
Yeah.
That in itself, there's challenges within that of like, because if I wanted to, I could have been this comic artist that would have never spoke up and maybe drawn Spider-Man while the world was on fire, and maybe that would have served me better. But I wouldn't. I would refuse to do that. So it's those parts of it too, to where you need people behind you that are going to love and support you in those moments where you feel the craziest. And yeah, I just don't exist without them.
Yeah.
I you talked about, or we've talked about the soundtrack and all that stuff. One of the other questions I had, I was checking out the Kickstarter you have, as you all often have with different projects that you've been involved with, alternative covers. And it actually made me wonder, have is in having somebody do a cover for your character, for these characters that you've created, is there anything that you've sometimes see and go, oh, that's a different way than I would have pictured it, or something like that? How does that, when you see that, because that was something that I immediately went, oh, I was looking at the covers, they're all very, very cool. But I was like, what is it like to see something you've created and see somebody else interpret that? And what does that bring to you when you see it?
Makes me feel like a little kid, man. I get so hyped like that. That's been my favorite part of all of this, is seeing other people's interpretations of that world. Like, and what you gather from that too, like Marshall's cover, like what he did with the energy coming off of Moses' arm. I've not drawn or even envisioned it like that, and seeing that, I was like, that's really cool how he did that. And like, like Justin's take, where the arm looked very much more like it's like skin, like leather. Like I didn't.
That's Justin's is one of my favorites, and it gives me a feel of like the Max, which
Exactly.
I thought was awesome.
It's wild. It looks more like a mutation, and like Castaneda, what he did was more on the nose with the design, but he changed the proportions of the character, which really changed the tone. Like I just really,
Oh, that's the one. Castaneda was the one that I said looked like the Max. Sorry,
yeah,
I
yeah,
forgot the one with the face was also named Justin.
yeah. Like it's really cool. It's really cool when you like seeing that, because like it makes me excited, and then also it's like cool takeaways from like future stuff. Future stuff you do with your story, like yeah. That's been my absolute favorite part of it. Now I have a couple other. I have more covers that I'll have for future stuff that yeah. It's gonna be dope just seeing more people do it.
So how?
Yeah, I just think that's completely and utterly compelling. And I just want to know what that felt like to see something that, like you said, you've carried this for years. And the
Yeah,
cultural aspect of this, and to see somebody else take that and say, I kind of picture it like this.
yeah,
And all of them work. None
yeah.
of them I'm like, oh well that doesn't all of them seem equally compelling and just like I gotta read it. I gotta get this. This is gonna happen. And my daughter also informed me that we will definitely be getting this. So
Hey, tell her thank you.
we'll do.
Oh, like you didn't know we weren't going to buy it,
Yeah.
no matter how much money is owed. Oh, duh. How many issues you got mapped out?
Right now, formally, I have I guess I could say 6 issues, but I've as far as like planning what's in the larger story arc. Oh yes, this will be going on for a little while.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And about the only thing that I'm trying to decide is what I do as far as the release schedule, because I know that this Kickstarter, especially this issue in particular, is 56 pages, and then the soundtrack, the pressing of the music and stuff. So all of that, I wanted to give myself a proper window. So I said September, but then the next issue of this is likely going to be finished around the same time. So I'm trying to think, do I stagger it like Headlopper, or do I do like kind of a bi-monthly thing? I don't know. So I'm trying to think about what makes the most sense for
And
me.
we're idiots. You shouldn't ask us. We're not
Well,
bright.
well, I think what might be easier would probably going like maybe the Headlopper route, because I feel like Andrew McLean did, like, was it like one every 3 months type of thing. So I'm considering doing something like that,
Yeah.
so people could get like four issues a year, and that way they can be a little bit chunkier, and going that route.
So, as we get to a point where we probably need, I told you, an hour wrap up, I do have one more question. What else you got coming up? What can we,
Yeah,
where are you going to be at? What you going to be doing? What's your next convention?
yeah. So uh honestly, it's kind of up in the air. I just did Heroes, and
Were you there, Wes?
yeah, I was there with Weston Justin.
Okay.
So we just did Heroes. Um, I know I've been kind of kicking around the idea of doing the Brooklyn Comic Expo,
That'd be cool.
but I'm not sure.
How
We have
big
a
was Heroes?
Heroes was great. It was huge.
Was it?
Yeah, yeah. Heroes was really, really cool. And this is my third one. I
Hmm.
think this was the show where I really kind of found my legs too. This third Heroes, because
Hmm.
uh I know I got a lot of cool work coming out of that. So that'll be stuff to talk about in the future for sure. But yeah, as far as like other shows, I know we have a LexCon in the fall. I don't know if I'll be at that or not. Not sure.
Really?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Well,
I
that's a story.
Yeah, I'm still trying to figure that out, because in all honesty, between getting Duppy fulfilled and stuff. Also, I have a lot of stuff that I'm generally finishing up as far as like the second issue of Hard Justice and the issue that's in between. We have me and Ken. We got some Warden's Watch stuff coming.
Oh yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So I've been kind of like I've been in the lab a little bit. So
who aren't you sleeping with in the industry? You tag team more than I don't know. If inserts their favorite person you like to insult about their
I'm trying to
go ahead, sorry.
their proclivities. Keep going.
see now. I'm trying to in my personal goal. My personal goal as an artist is to get to the point to where I can keep up with that old school monthly pace. I've been really challenging myself because all the greats, all the people that I aspire to be, that's what they used to do. And I feel like as I become a better storyteller and I become more efficient, that's the next step for me. So I think the more that I continue to stay in motion with these projects, the closer I get to that goal. So no matter what, like it's like, if I'm working on these other projects and if I don't have any other projects, I've always got Duppy. So it's something to just keep me in motion until one day I could finally say I could drop X amount of issues every year.
It's just discipline, and people ask about a lot. It's just discipline. It's you don't sometimes feel like drawing. You don't sometimes feel like writing. James, right? Chad, we both know you don't feel like it.
Yeah,
you just got to do it. It's just like digging a ditch or any other thing or brushing your teeth. It's just discipline.
it is.
And some days you don't feel like being creative, and some days you don't feel like going to work, and you still get up and do it.
And you got to do it. And my thing is too is like I think about just how fortunate I am to even be in a position to where I've been able to achieve a lot of stuff. There's another level of this that I know that I have the potential to touch, and a lot of people have believed in me throughout the process. And I think to myself that like I really want to be able to push this a bit further. I want to really I want to make the people that have rooted for me along the way. I want to make them also proud of their decision. It's just a lot of stuff that I think about along the way. And again, it's having the support of community and people around me. It does make it easier for me to be very disciplined in my practice in some of these ways because nobody's in the background telling me I'm crazy. When I tell people I'm really aiming at a monthly pace, they're like, "Oh yeah, hell yeah!" And then it's a conversation. I feel like this day and age, especially how hard it is for people to do a monthly pace, that I should have probably been met with more people being like, "Yo, really? I don't know. That sounds crazy." Nah, nobody's saying that. Yeah, it's goals. It's a big goal of mine.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that. Now, apropos of nothing, I don't know why the algorithm decided I need to hear this message today, but randomly on my feed today, a guru popped up, and I'm blanking on his name, but he was actually talking about, he was lecturing or speaking before a group of students, and he said, "What is it that they tell you? They tell you to study hard. They tell you to work hard. Why don't they tell you to work with love, with passion, with all of that? Because when you view it that way, you're much more successful."
Yep.
And so the algorithm decided I randomly needed that message today. But as you were talking, I'm like, you obviously have the passion, you have the interest, and so it's not, the work is hard, but the passion is there, and the love of it is there. And so sorry, you just made me randomly think of the algorithm. It all comes together.
Well, and it's real. It's real, And I think sometimes you get the messages you're supposed to get when you're supposed to get them.
Just because they're listening.
That's Elon's ass.
They're listening.
But like it's really it's really something for me. Like I remind myself of how fortunate I am. Fairly often I do, and especially as I get older, and I think about just so many things that I've been able to survive or work past or whatever in my life, that, this has been a constant for me. And I really want to push into this. I really want to push into, this territory in particular. And I feel like, I can't do less than my best effort. And I believe that I can do this because the greats did it, and they inspired me. I saw them do it with less. So I really want to. And to also bring my wife up again, she's somebody else that, when we talk about working with love and with passion and everything. So she's a professor at BCTC.
Mm-hmm.
And just when sometimes she'll talk about things with her students, and how hard some people are working, and then just like the passion that she brings into the mix as an educator. And you're seeing, she's a writer as well. And you you see people like that, people like that, you're attached to people like that, that are also passionate in their spaces. And it just kind of, it really, I have so many examples of that to show just how special and important those things are. So it's like, I don't really second guess it. I don't have too many things getting in my way to be like, maybe this won't work. Because you just see so many people out here busting their ass with their multiple gigs and still holding on to their passions, like what we talked about earlier. So yeah, I just like to believe it,
Yeah. Yeah. So for one last time before we go, where can they go and get on the Kickstarter?
Duppycomic.com.
Mm-hmm.
That's DUPPY comic.com. I got 8 days left.
And what we're going to do,
8 days.
What we'll go do is that all three of us will share it on our socials, and then we'll promote the show that's coming out for this weekend. Now, you didn't tell me all the things you had come. Actually, you did tell me most of it. Is there anything else before we go? One last thing. Who do you want to give it? Who do you miss the most out of the three of us? Say it. Say it now. Who did you miss the most?
I view you all like a chimera. I miss you all.
Oh my God.
You like combine.
I was
And
thinking
of
more
course,
the
Joe is the ass.
I was thinking more of the three witches from Macbeth would be better.
I don't even know.
Fire burn.
I'm not even confident that y'all are in different rooms. I feel like it might be
with all the shit
room,
around. It's not
one big room with different posters, and each of your legs are attached.
Well, he's been playing footsie with me.
By the way, that's a great horror image right there for a comic.
Like,
just throw that out.
Kind of like a human centipede, but by the legs.
Why am I strangely interested?
Doubt.
That's a better word. I'm learning.
I've got to ask just for my own interest. Do you know if there's any, or if you're involved, if they're doing any of the live art with Supergirl coming out?
The six by boards. I think we're largely going to be doing live art at Void Sake and stuff moving forward, because I think the movie tavern space whatever they're called now.
Yeah.
I think that the way the space is set up doesn't really work.
It is not conducive to it.
Yeah, so it's kind of a thing of like almost like either it doesn't fit or maybe we're in the way. I don't know. So we're kind of reframing that. So maybe if we do it for Supergirl, we wind up just doing it at a different location.
Okay.
But there is going to be a live art coming up towards the end of July. I don't want to try to freestyle the date right now. I don't have anything in front of me, but Justin is Justin Stewart, for any of the listeners. He's dropping issue 3 of Bleed Leaders very soon, and I know we're kind of doing like a release party live art type of thing. So end of July, I would really encourage everybody come pull up.
We'll come pull up if you'll give us the location.
We will. I will. I know that's gonna be a Void Sake. I know that's gonna be a Void
I mean, Bonehead would even do like live stuff with you, or just somebody. I mean, well, as live as we can be.
Yeah. I think that would be really dope. I've actually wondered before if that was a possibility.
No, we'll do it. We just no one ever asks us. No one ever wants to talk to us. It's kind of sad. And then when we ask them which one of them's their favorite, they just go, "Oh my God, you're all just so pretty."
Well,
That
you
wasn't
know what I
what was
think
said.
it is. I think you guys have made it so big time. Everybody thinks you won't come out unless it's a convention.
Well, you know what? The other two won't come out unless it's a convention.
Well, no, that's not true.
And then they immediately leave. Whenever it's done on stage, they leave.
Well, I'll be
no
honest.
dinner, just leave.
It is part of that imposter syndrome for me. I'm always like, I'm probably in the way. I'll just go about. The people are here to ask Joe for his autograph. That's a throwback for me and Chad.
By the way, I would be embarrassed right now, but no, you know what? I'm going to own it.
Yeah, no, it was. The backstory on that is he got asked for an autograph and had to go and do one, and we were like, we have a show to do in 5 minutes.
And here's the screwy thing: is I screwed up the girl's poster and had to go get another one because I couldn't sign my own name.
Yo,
I mean, I was sober. I just was like, how am I supposed to do this again?
I had somebody bring me a copy of Limbo Beach. So Limbo Beach was that one Z2 comic that Vince Staples did and everything. So I had some like artwork connected to that. And I'd never seen the book in person. Somebody caught me at a show and brought me a copy of Limbo Beach and asked me to sign it. And I got so nervous that I smudged white out on the cover. I had to wipe this thing down and I felt terrible. But it was
so wild, isn't it? It's a thing. I guess if you do it 5 million times, which I actually figured you did it all the time. But if you do it 5 million times, and then I was like, well, what do you want me to write? And they was like, I'll write something bad. And I go, oh, you don't want that. You don't want that. You don't want that. There's two. He's like, you don't want that. It's like, yeah. And James knows. He's got that. He's heard me say it. It's like, you don't want that. You don't want that.
Well, this book in particular, because it's one of the biggest like comic projects that I've been associated with. So like I don't know what it was that this time in particular, all of a sudden I was frozen. It had never happened to me before, and this moment it froze me. I was like, oh man, that's kind of crazy.
It's yeah. I'm sorry. We will stop now talking. I'm just glad that somebody else had the same exact story of I don't know, what am I supposed to do now? But anyway. All right. So please go out and check it out. Well, by go out, literally get on Kickstarter and go to duppycomic.com. I'm right on it right here, ready to log in and do it. Check it out. Bryce, you're a wonderful artist, you're a talented writer, and even better human being. Until you say awful things about me behind my back. But I've told you before, though. I mean, you've said things about me behind my back that literally got back to me. And I was like, well, that was so sweet of him.
Well, and I want to give you guys your flowers before I get off here. Because especially because it's been so long since I've been on here. But you know, I always love being on the show. I love you guys. I love anytime I run into you, because you all genuine great people. But on top of that, the way that you all don't mind to advocate and speak up for all of the things, and I feel like it's just so refreshing to me, because you know how it can be, especially in like these very comic centric spaces where there's all the ranges of it could be any range of bigotry to toxicity and whatever in between of people that just don't want to hear your shit. Yeah. And I think that like people like yourselves being these big fans and these big supporters that can embrace an artist like myself in every aspect of, you know, what I do within comics and my activism and just all of my art forms. I think that it's really nice and it's appreciated. I can't say that enough. You all have supported me.
We've done nothing, literally. The other two won't even leave the house.
Well, you all have definitely supported in ways that I think a lot of people aren't brave enough to even support. You guys have supported in those in so many ways, and I just I appreciate you all.
Well, thank you. I wish well, I can't speak for the other two. I wish I've done more. The problem is with some of it is that as where I've tried to find the line for me, is because you don't want to be, for lack of a better way of putting it, and I'm not, no, we're not putting up with bigotry. We're not putting up with sexism. We're not putting up with homophobia. We're not putting up with that bullshit. Not while I'm running the panel. But when it just comes to politics, because it's so, it's just a religion now, blue and red, is
Yeah.
where I try to, no, there's a lot of people in both here, and we need to, bringing it up and poking that to me doesn't help when
Hmm.
you are all right now laughing in an audience or really having a good time with people
Yeah.
you have stuff in common with. And then you get in groups and then you do stupid shit. But when it's just the individuals, I guarantee you 90 some percent of them, if they just have a conversation as an individuals, will find common ground and get along and see each
They'll
other as
sort it.
human beings.
They'll sort it out.
They'll sort it out. But you put
Yep.
them all in a group, and then this group hates this group.
Well, and I really appreciate what you said, and I think one of the things that is important to me is that I know what the medium of comics meant to me as a kid and as an adult. But that was what was safe for me. That was I wasn't popular, I wasn't anything else, but that was safe. And so I often think about I apply a lot of what I thought about when I was younger to that to a lot of other things. And one of the things that I've often told my children is that, hey, just because that may not be for you doesn't mean that message doesn't need to get to somebody, right? And
Yeah.
so that becomes kind of what I try to think about is, what if it harms no one, then it will probably help someone and
Exactly.
and getting that out there and getting that in front of people and sharing something that again gives us that chance to find common ground. And like I said, when you're talking about Duppy, the idea of a Duppy, and my mind immediately went to some Irish folklore, the pukas, all that stuff, those things that we can't see but that can influence us. And I'm like, what a great world it is when you can talk about that, and my mind immediately went, oh, that reminds me of stories my grandmother told. That
Yeah.
reminds me of things. And then we now have this connection, this involvement, and so, man, I hope I'm you when I grow up, because I literally think this stuff that you
He's
do
younger than
is,
us.
I know, Joe, I wasn't,
Well, I didn't realize how much younger he
I
was
was,
than
I was
than
talking
until like
about
a year
mentally.
ago. We was just like, what
I
the
was talking
hell?
about mentally growing up, Joe. I'm probably at
No,
best
in that
12.
case, yeah, we're
Yeah,
back.
I'm 12
Hey,
at best.
yeah.
But no, in all honesty, I just think that's really cool. And everything that you've been involved in, kind of like you said with Duppy, it exists and it tells its own stories, but there's these undercurrents that flow throughout them. And that is just really cool to me. And again, it's one of those things that if I get introduced to something new, something relevant, that going I'm going to champion it because again, if I see one thing in it, then maybe somebody else will see something else. And that becomes just as relevant to them as what I saw was relevant to me. So again, I just really appreciate everything that you're doing.
Thank you.
Man.
Thank you. I
And
really, yeah, I appreciate that. I appreciate that. And again, you know, yeah, to echo your sentiment, like we're all, we know what comics mean to us, and like comics have gotten me through so much. Is a reason why I'm a comic artist today, and there's a reason why I want to keep on contributing as a cartoonist to the landscape and everything. And I think that sometimes when people hear of somebody that's participating in any sort of activism, they think of the worst possible things. But they're not. But like I think what you all did was you heard the message, you know the person, you see the work. So there was no mix up in any way, form, or fashion. There was nothing but support. And I think that like people that don't mind to support that, make it also easier for other people to have those conversations too. When somebody might walk in with the wrong idea, but then they see who's advocating, and then they say, "Well, hold on, what am I getting wrong?" And we need more of that, especially within the comic space, where people just mad about the dumbest shit sometimes. And it's like, yo, this is not what this is for, y'all.
I, we could literally have a whole other show about nerds and their anger and their misguided anger.
They mad about Supergirl right now.
And the damn movie ain't even out
at all. Yeah, and it's like, y'all are furious. It's Supergirl, yo. Like, come on.
Ugh.
Come on.
I know. And it doesn't matter if the movie sucks or not. It doesn't. Who? At what point do you just? It's a movie.
Yeah, like, you know what I'm saying? It's
like you called Supergirl. It's Superman. I don't.
Yeah. It's really wild, especially you watch the movie like Superman, and as amazing as that movie was great, Mr. Terrific, everything about that movie was great. It's like one of the most fantastical modern superhero movies that we've seen in a long time. It feels good. And then you see Supergirl, and then you think, okay, hold on. We're gonna fight about this. And it's like, yo, the tone is so lighthearted in these movies. You mean to tell me you really can't look past the bullshit and just enjoy this?
No.
I gotta fight about this?
No. There's a really good joke in the new Masters of the Universe. Well, it's a lame joke, actually. But the little he-man with the thing with his pronouns. And remember, it was in the trailer in Masters of the Universe because it made a joke about the he-man and the little pronoun thing on his... And it blew up of people angry about how they've taken over him. It's clearly a joke in the middle of the movie. Okay, this is a whole other episode. You all need to go to duppycomic.com, and if you really want to support him, you will not only go buy some stuff, give some money, you will come back and demand that we do a whole second part of this episode about, and we'll see if we can get Ken or whoever you want on here, and we can talk about why are nerds so angry.
I would love to come back and talk about that, because there's so many things that we could talk about, like that we talk about just even since we've seen each other in spring, like in March, the shitstorm of so many things in comics to where you're just like, yo, y'all are missing the.
And you'll probably have to limit it to comics, because seriously, if we start talking movies, TV, we would be here for a week. Yeah. So if you all want us to do it, let us know. We will have it back. All right, Bryce. It's always been a pleasure. I told you I'd keep you for a night for 60 minutes, and we kept you almost 90, man. I'm sorry.
Hey, no worries. I appreciate you all.
No, we appreciate you. Now, if you need anything, we'll actually may drop this episode a little early just so we make sure get a little more traction on it towards getting your goal.
Yeah. I said as of this recording is 8 days, but I didn't think about it. I was like, yo, by the time this drops, it might be like 5.
Well,
4.
Yeah. So I'll see if we can get this out a couple of days early. All right, man. Well, it's been great having you on the show. This has been Bonehead. Go support Bryce Oquaye. Come see him out and about, especially when he's out doing everything he does for the community.